Most men don't know who they are. They know the roles they play. They're a husband, they're a father, they're a worker, they're a provider. And for years, that feels fine. Because, my friend, people need you. There's pressure, there's responsibility, there's movement. But here's the dangerous part. If you stripped away all roles for just 1 second, would there be a clear man underneath? Or just exhaustion, reaction, and confusion? Now, I didn't understand this for a long time. Working in the prison system, I became very good at handling pressure. Showing up, staying dependable, being needed. But somewhere in the middle of taking care of everything, I stopped knowing myself outside of that function. And a lot of men are living right there now without even realizing it. They built this life, but never really built themselves inside of it. So in this video, I want to break down why this happens. Why men feel lost, even when life looks good. And how to rebuild an identity that stays under pressure. And this starts, my friend, understanding something most men never separate. My friend, the more dependable you become, the more roles stack on top of you. At first, right, this feels meaningful. People respect you. People need you. People depend on you. But then over time, something subtle, very subtle happens. Your identity, who you are, slowly becomes, who do I need to be for everybody else? Not, who am I actually becoming? And there's a huge difference in between that. Now, I remember realizing this for myself one day when I was driving to work, that I only knew who I was and how to operate when there was pressure, when there was things going on. That chaos, that it just felt normal, but quiet by myself. It just felt uncomfortable. It felt hard. And because I had trained myself to function, I didn't train myself to understand who I was. So my friend, is your identity built on roles? Does it disappear the moment pressure changes those roles? Because this is why so many men feel lost the second real life shows up. So I want to talk to you why you feel lost. So a lot of men think something's wrong with me. My friend, there's nothing wrong with you. What's wrong is the system you have built your life on. Because most men train execution. We train providing. We train performing, pushing through, surviving pressure, but we never train self-awareness. Because nobody has ever taught you how to actually define yourself. So what happens? The moment there's no demand, well, there's no direction. And that emptiness just feels terrifying. Some men retire, right? Some men retire from work and immediately just start reorganizing the garage because sitting still with themselves, that just feels like psychological warfare. You don't feel lost because you're broken. You feel lost because your system never required you to define yourself. So let me show you what that actual structure looks like. Okay, so what I wanted to do is just show you kind of how identity is built. So this is you in the middle here, right? That's you. And this is your identity, who you are. Now, when we build roles in our lives, our roles are built usually outside. And this is our husband role, this is our father role, maybe we provider, maybe the career we're in. These are the roles that we play, and we put different hats on our head so that when we create and we become these roles, they define who we are. But they're still not who we are. Because inside that circle, we don't identify with that person. Now, roles, when we do roles first, and then we do identity second, that really creates instability. Because if pressure hits or if something happens, your entire identity begins to shake with it. So what we need to do is we need to create this person, this persona, and we're going to do this because we have a larger circle here, and then we're still identifying with who we are. That's still us. But as a strong man, our identity is built with our roles. So the husband, the father, the provider, the worker. And when you do when you do identity first, role second, the roles begin to express who you are, not define it. And you begin to create this life. And when you're showing who you are through the roles you play, that's how your life gets defined. That's how life gets created. So now the real question becomes, how do you actually build identity? And we're going to get into that right now. Most men think that identity is discovered. It's not. Your identity is built, and it's built through decisions under pressure. Now, anybody can sound disciplined when life is calm, right? You get up in the morning and you go to the gym. I do my journaling, I do my reading, I'm very disciplined in the morning with my morning routine. But my identity and who I am is going to show up when I'm tired. It's going to show up when I'm irritated. It's going to show up when I'm stressed or overwhelmed or even emotionally triggered. And that, my friend, is where real men appear. I just wanted to give you this quick model of who you can be within this life. And it's just a rebuilding identity. So identity, my friend, is built through decisions under pressure. The identity rebuilt framework is super simple. There's 3 steps, as you can see on the screen. First, we choose our standards before that pressure hits, right? Who are you? Who are you when you are focused on purpose? When you're going after those goals? Don't wait, my friend. Here's the key. Don't wait until emotional to decide who you are. Because we talked about those 3 areas in our life: our head, our heart, and our body. And when we build our life depending on our thoughts and attach emotions to those thoughts, that creates our reactions, right? The life's operating system. So when we begin to create that life and our emotions are dictating you to react to the situations and not respond to them, that is when your life begins to shift. You want to respond to the situation, not just ultimately react. And that begins with your mind. And your standards are your identity in advance. Then the second, you want to track your reactions honestly. Because if you're paying attention to, okay, when this situation or this event happens, I react like this, that's when you understand, okay, now I need to begin to fix that. Because most men protect that ego instead of confronting these patterns. And awareness creates options. Denial removes them. So observe without excuses. Well, I did that because, this has happened. Or I did that because, I felt frustrated at work. So that's when I got home and I yelled at my kids. Right? It was because I was at work, and I'm like, stop making excuses. Right? Truth creates change. I was frustrated at work and I brought it home with me because I have no transition period in between my work and home life. It's that simple. And when you create that part of your identity, that is when it's going to shift. But your truth creates that change. And you have to install a controlled system response. Pause, assess, choose. Right? That pack system I talked about earlier. So in an earlier short is what I did. You can find that short, you'll see the pack system. And when you begin to pause, assess, and choose what you're going after, this gives you that responsibility. Because instead of reacting automatically, you are responding intentionally because you've paused. Okay, this happened. I'm going to pause. Okay, so why did that person do that? Why is that situation going this way? And then you can assess and go, okay, well, I'm going to see which direction I want to go and I'm going to choose. You want to build space between that trigger and response, that gap. And my friend, if your behavior changes under pressure, your identity, it isn't stable yet. And that's where we want to begin to work to. We want to begin to work on that stabilization with that pressure and creating the life. So I want to finish off by giving you a live exercise. For those who follow me, I don't want you to spend 10 minutes here with me and not have something to leave with. So I want you to actually do this mentally right now with me. And seriously, don't skip to the end. Don't turn off the video now. Stay with me, because this is where it's going to change your life. So I want you to remove every role you're a part of. Right now, you're not a husband, you're not a father, you're not a provider, you're not a worker, you're not whatever it is you are. You're not in your career. You have no responsibilities. You have no tasks. You have no expectations. Nobody needs you today. You are just you. Who are you? Who are you? That's the real question. Who are you? Do you know who you are? Is there hesitation there? Because my friend, that's the gap. That's where most men are avoiding looking at. So I want you to ask these 4 questions, and I'll put them up, write them in your journal, write them on a piece of paper right now, and really dive deep into who these questions are and answer them to the best of your ability. How do I respond under stress? Where do I lose control? What do I avoid? Where do I become emotionally reactive? And now finish the sentence. Once you've answered those questions, no matter what role I'm in, I'm a man who blank. No matter what role I'm in, I'm a man who stays in control under pressure. No matter what role I'm in, I'm a man who follows through when tired. No matter what role I'm in, I'm a man who tells the truth. No matter what role I'm in, I'm a man who leads calmly. No matter what role I'm in, I'm a man who stays emotionally grounded. So pick one. Pick one standard. Not 10, just one. Just one standard. Now prove it daily for the next 7 days. No matter what role you're in, you are a man who stays controlled under pressure. You are a man that tells the truth. You are a man that leads calmly. Pick one. Because identity isn't declared, it's demonstrated. So you can say, yeah, I'm a man who tells the truth. I'm a man who stays controlled under pressure. I'm a man who does lead calmly. But then when something happens, you don't, because you don't demonstrate who you are. And that is how you build identity, my friend, by doing things repeatedly over and over again. Now, a lot of men spend their whole life becoming useful, but you never become known. Useful, my friend, is replaceable. Your identity isn't. If you don't build something underneath those roles, eventually pressure is going to expose that gap. That's why some men feel exhausted even when their life looks so successful. Because externally, they built a life. But internally, they've just disappeared inside of it. My friend, that can change. Not through motivation, not through hype, not through this craziness, but through a structure, through a system, through awareness, and repeated decisions under pressure. My friend, if this hit you, go watch the previous video. I called it Why You Feel Empty When Life Looks Good from the Outside. And this video explains why all of this happens. This one showed you how to start fixing it. That one showed you why it happened. And if you're done disappearing inside your own life, start building from the inside out. Trust yourself. You got this.